everyone. My name is Elena Shvab and I'm a hat designer based in London. Welcome to this video tutorial. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to share a really useful technique that will allow you to create your own hat blocks so that you can create more hats, and I hope that this technique will help you to think a little bit out of the box in order to understand what can be used as hat block for your creations. So as we know, for milliners, for hat makers, it doesn't matter whether you are a professional milliner or whether it's your hobby or whether you're just starting out and trying new things. Hat blocks are the basic tools that are required in order to make a hat. And usually wooden hat blocks are the best, and they are the best because they're strong. It's easy to work with them, easy to stretch the material around hat block and secure with the pins, especially if it's a modern hat block made by a professional hat block maker. It's like a heaven, and so enjoyable making hats. But sometimes when you're starting out, or you don't know what hat blocks to order and you just want to try make a hat, you still need a hat block, but you would rather find alternative way of different hat blocks. For example, you can always use a wooden fruit bowl. You turn it upside down and you can use it for stretching felts and straws. You can use polystyrene dummies for using one of the part of the of this hat in order to block basic shapes for fascinators. There are many different polystyrene shapes that you can use for blocking, but sometimes you want to create something new, something a little bit more advanced, but you just don't know how to start. So I'm going to show you one technique that I use as well for my work. And I hope that it will be very useful for you, and maybe you can try it in your work, and hopefully it will help. So I welcome everyone today who is joining. It's lovely to see you all. And Camille, thank you for commenting from North Carolina. Welcome to my channel. It's lovely to hear from you, and thank you for commenting. And okay, so let me show you what exactly I'm talking about with all this introduction and so on. I'm talking about some solid shapes that are really beautiful, but they're too hard in order to block a hat. Because sometimes you need softer materials for the pins to secure your fabrics, but sometimes you can find very beautiful shapes, but they're made of plastic or they're made of other solid materials. For example, one of my in my previous studio, in the next studio from me, there was a ceramist artist, and she made absolutely beautiful creations, and absolutely beautiful. And some of the shapes she was working on, some plates, she didn't like it, but I saw that shape as a beautiful hat block. And so this is one of the shapes. So that was a plate that she created. This is really solid material. These are ceramics. And well, you can't really use it for hat block making. First of all, it's quite a fragile material. If you use the pins, it will start breaking into little pieces. Even right now, I mean, all my table is covered with this material. But I mean, look at that, absolutely beautiful, because you can create very nice saucer shape as a fascinator. Just imagine it's on your hat like this, or other side, it's like that. Very beautiful shape that you can create and then decorate with flowers or veils and other trims, whatever you can find or whatever you love working with. So how can I use this particular shape that is, hello, really hard to work with, quite impossible? How can you turn this into a very useful hat block? So I came up with a solution. It's very do-it-yourself, I would say, process, and this is the result that I came up with. So this is a different shape that I really liked, and I adopted from my ceramist artist. And look at that, it's also very beautiful. So it can go like this, or this can go like that, or like this. I mean, you can just, you know, place it and play around and see how the shape might work. And I want to show you the example of the hat that I created. This is one of my favorite hats, made with beautiful pleated crinoline. This was made with one piece of crinoline. I think it's 3 or 4 meters, wrapped around with a little bit of veiling. But as a base, so this is a base, the bigger one, not the inside. The bigger base was actually made from the ceramical base. And you see, everything is possible. I use this technique that I'm going to show you right now, and I managed to block a really nice hat that is now a part of my bridal collection. And oh, it's actually at the back as well. So you can see how it looks on the hat, and very, very beautiful, flattering shape. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't try to do this technique. So I'm going to show you on the example of this ceramic plate. You can use even actually all your plates at home and try this technique and see how it works. You know, everything is possible. You just have to give it a go. For this technique, we need wadding, this fabric that you use for, usually it's used for coats, for jackets, for padding furniture. Very useful material. You can purchase it in any fabric shop, even online. I bought it in one of the shops here in London, and I still have quite a few extra left. It's amazing material because it stretches. It's not woven, it's pressed fabric, so it stretches in different direction, but you just have to be very careful not to overstretch it too much, because you can easily break it, and this is something we have to be very careful with. You can also use a felt. This is synthetic felt. You can use for arts and crafts. This is where you buy this fabric also online. The only downside of this fabric is that it's quite thin, so you might need to use several layers unless you find a felt that is quite thick. So basically what we need, a fabric that is easily stretches. It also could be felt, regular felt that you use for blocking for hats. I decided not to use felt because felt it's not very expensive, but it's still a material that worth money, and wadding is quite cheap, affordable fabric, so you can always use a layer or two depending on the width. They all come with different widths. This is quite thick one. So let's start. Let me move this aside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place my plate, my future hat block here in the middle, and I'm gonna try and stretch the fabric. First of all, I'm gonna measure how much I need, because I don't need all of it. And as usually, oh no, I'm prepared today. My scissors are right here. So I'm just gonna measure how much fabric I will need, and I will cut accordingly. So just allowing from each side enough material to stretch inside the center of our potential future hat block. And you can either use hot glue, but I would still advise you secure the fabric with stitching, because stitching is always more secure way. And we're going to need cotton thread and a needle, ideally long needle for this particular technique. And well, the purpose is to perfectly stretch the fabric on this side so it looks perfect and stretched, to avoid any folds, because we want to cover the plate perfectly. So I'm going to stretch the fabric, and I'm gonna secure with threading as I go. It doesn't have to be super perfect on this side, but it does have to keep the fabric securely so it doesn't move on that side. And just need to do some stitching, and I might just secure with the pin just to keep it in place so the fabric doesn't move too much. All of that in the middle, we can either leave it or we can just trim. But the most important that everything here is nice and stretched. Okay, so stretching and securing with the needle. So this is the first threading. You can also continue in the next layer, stretching a little bit more as you go for the second time. For now, I just want to secure the ends so they don't move too much. And yeah, there you go. So how are you, all of you? Do let me know where you're from. What's your hat making experience? You know, tell me a little bit about yourself. It's always nice to hear what interests you in hat making and this channel. How do you like the tutorials? Would love to hear from all of you, and maybe it will give me some inspiration to create other videos that might interest you and that might help you in your work. So while I'm doing all the stitches, we can have a little conversation. So please do comment and tell me where you're from and how you came up for hat making, and what do you like about this particular art and craft. And in the meantime, I'm just continuing stitching and securing the wadding. So ideally, you would like to choose a thick wadding because we need enough space for the pins to secure the fabric or any material that we're going to be using for blocking the hats. Okay, so this one broke. It happens. Okay, so now, as you can see, it stays in place and nice and secure, but I still have some imperfections, like some folds and some what it's called, bumps right here, but I really want it to be more stretched. So I'm just gonna stitch selectively, stretching those areas that create those bumps there. So this is a very basic, very easy technique of creating hats. I wouldn't say it's going to be the perfect hat block, and it will never compare to wooden hat block made by a professional, but it will allow you to at least to start, at least to try different shapes and see whether you like blocking, whether you like creating hats. It will give you opportunity to try different shapes, and maybe if you like the shape, you would like to try transform it into wooden hat block, and having something like that actually helps for hat block maker to recreate this shape in wood so that you can continue making hats with a shape that you really like. So we secured the wadding, so it's really nice here. I would suggest you create a bit more stitches and secure a little bit more than I'm doing it right now here, because it's really hard to make perfect hat block in just 15-20 minutes video tutorial, but I just want to show you the basics of how it's done. And the second part is because the materials is quite soft and it's quite hard to block the straw, especially over puffy base. I would want to flatten it a little bit, like I did it right here. So this fabric you can compare. This wadding is quite fluffy and soft, and this one is pressed, and it's more it's more covering the shape, hence the results are going to be much, much better. So for that, we're going to need an iron, regular iron, no steam, medium heat. We don't want to burn the material. And I'm just going to plug it in. Okay, and we also need a baking paper because you don't want to touch wooding with an iron. It will simply, the material will melt, and this is something we do not want to do. So I'm going to use baking paper to protect the material and also my iron from, from the fabric. Medium heat. And what I'm going to do, I will, you see, this is already happening and it's already melting. So I just put it on high heat. You see, I did say that and I melted myself. You see what happens? Yeah, this is what happens with the very hot iron, my mistake. I did say that, right? And, oh, it's very plasticky now. And the material, but to ignore that, medium heat, I'm just going to make it even lower and gently pressing the fabric down. So it's already flattening a little bit. Okay. And there. Not to overdo it, but I already see the difference, how this fabric on this side flattening and still fluffy here. And this, actually, I'm glad that it happened because it's good that it happens. This is how we learn. This is how I also learn that high heat, even with baking paper, it kills the fabric. And yes, ideally, I would have to start all over again and maybe create another layer on top. And I will do that. And I'm continue pressing the fabric until it turns into flat material. Okay. So the flatter the fabric, the more blocking will be, like the results of blocking a hat will be better because you can't really block a hat when it's too, when the material is too fluffy, because the fabric has to stretch perfectly around the hat block. That's why wooden hat blocks are obviously a better tools for making hats. But sometimes you want to try new shapes, you want to experiment, you want to see if you block this shape, how it's going to look like. All right. There. So it's flattening. Looks much better. So maybe I just add a little bit more heat. And let's try a little bit more. So what I would suggest, never press and hold the iron. Move in circles, so you spread the heat evenly around the fabric. It works for wedding, it works for felts, it works for straws, for any material that you work with. Never press and hold, because that's the chance when you can really burn and damage your fabric. Especially when you're working with materials like this one that have very low melting point and can melt in seconds, like it happened right now. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. The wadding does flatten a little bit, so you can see it. I would also flatten around here, especially the edges, because I want the edges to be crisp and nice. And if the fabric is too fluffy, your material always also will cover the edge in a sort of like rounded way. So we need to iron the edge here, and also underneath, you see, to create a crispy edge. So compare, this one is a bit fluffy and this one is already getting there and becomes quite nice. So you can see where the end, where the edge is. So this is the technique. Just continue ironing until your hat block looks like this one. You see, I ironed the edges here, so you can actually see this bend, this angle here and here. And this is why in this hat it also looks you know, following the lines of the head block. So it's really hard to see because of the crinoline, but the shape is, it has a particular angle. This is what I really wanted to achieve. I didn't want a soft angle on the side. And where the stitches are, you see it also quite flat, so it's also easier to work when you stretch the material over the hat block. So I do hope that this little tutorial was informative and helpful, and that it may be helping you to you know, create more hats by, you know, finding different hat blocks that will work. And maybe, you know, look around in your kitchen or in a shed or in a garage, and you might find some shapes that are made of a hard material like metal or wood, or plastic, that is really hard to block using the pins, but you can wrap it with the wadding using this technique, and you can use long pins that easily go into the fabric. So you can actually secure with the longer pins, not short pin because they will come out. Longer pins are much better. And using longer pins like tailor pins, you can secure the fabric using the wadding underneath. So this is what we were trying to achieve, because you can't use the pins into the ceramic or plastic or any other hard material, but with the wadding you can use the pins inside the fabric. This is why I'm covering it with wadding, to put the pins inside the wadding and to secure the fabric around it, straws or felts, whatever you work with, in order to create really lovely, beautiful hats. And as a result, you can create shapes like that, cover it with crinoline, veils, create different decorations using cinnamon straw, feathers, embellishments. I mean, it's like decorations are really endless. It just, the bases sometimes is the most challenging thing to, you know, to create, because you do need a solid support in order to create shapes. So I just want to read the comment. I started millinery work about 20 years ago. I have been trained by Elena Shvab in Australia. And others. My love for hats started from my childhood. Well, that's amazing. Well, 20 years ago, and it started from childhood. Well, all love for hats and fashion and arts, it usually starts from fashion, from childhood, and later in life you start learning this skill and find how beautiful it is and how easy sometimes, well, actually it is easy, knowing the skills, knowing the techniques, knowing how to achieve certain idea that you have in your head by using even those alternative ways. There's always a way. You just have to, you know, sometimes open your mind and see that there's so many different other possibilities, not just a traditional way, but you can always find a way around it and come up with really amazing results. And there's Tivaga Carmen. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. It's from Chile. Well, hello from London. That's amazing. Your tutorial is great. Thank you so much, Camille. It's really lovely to hear. And there's a great announcement right now that next week, so some of you know that I have a membership channel with very detailed videos of how to create cinema straw hats, brim cinema straw hats. There's a tutorial how to block fascinator felt beret hat, how to stiffen the felts, how to cover, how to attach hats with the hat bands, and many other useful tutorials, very detailed tutorials that are part of my courses. And there will be new tutorial on my membership channel is how to create a cinema straw fascinator. Many of you have been asking me how to create fascinator hat base. So this is the example. This is exactly the hat that I'm teaching during this course, how to make a fascinator hat. I'm teaching how to create this fantastic hat base, how to stitch the wire, how to create bias strip and cover the edge of the hat base, how to create the stunning decoration and trimming, attaching veil, and how to secure this fascinator with elastic, and many other useful tips, including what materials you need, what alternative tools you can use, everything you need to know in order to create a fascinator hat from start to finish. And you will also get a PDF with detailed material list and also where to get those materials. And you will also get a 10% discount from my favorite supplier, the trimming company, in order to purchase all the materials that are required for making a fascinator hat. So this tutorial will be published on my membership channel next week. So for those who are still not a member, have not signed up, do join the membership. It's a monthly subscription, but you can cancel at any time. No strings attached, but you can gain a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge that might help you to create beautiful hats and learn so many tips and tricks about hat making. So the link to join the membership is in the description of this video, or you can just join by clicking join button. It's underneath the screen. And choose membership level. This is where you get all the access to the tutorials that are published on the membership channel. Or you can also choose to become a contributor and help supporting this channel. This will also help to create more educational free videos for you, like this one today, and share all the insider tips and tricks with you and everybody who is willing to learn about millinery. And I want to read one more comment. Hi, Elena Etaba from Nigeria. Hello. Love your how creative you are with this. I hope to add this to my hobby. Hopefully I become a professional someday. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure you will become a professional one day. It's just follow your heart and create beautiful hats, learn the skills and techniques, and there's no limits, because millinery is really beautiful art, beautiful craft, so many wonderful things that you can create just by using very basic materials. Starting from there and then step by step learning different skills, you learn how to create more and more and more. And there's so many amazing materials that I will show you in my next videos. And there will be more detailed tutorials on my membership channel. So those who are wishing to learn more about millinery and make it as a profession, the membership is just perfect for you. And thank you so much, everyone, for amazing comments, wonderful messages from joining this channel from different countries in the world. This is amazing. And thank you for your support and for watching and from learning. And I hope this tutorial was also very useful, and I do hope that you will try this technique and try to make hats and see how it works for you. In the meantime, I'm wishing you a wonderful week, wonderful day, and I'll see you during my next video that will be published next week. So in order not to miss it out, please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit the notification button so that you get an email every time when I go live or when I publish a new video. Thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful day, and I'll see you during my next live video. Bye.